Drake is going broke. How's it going, Jtomreactions community and Jtomreactions? And I'm back with another edition of Jtomreactions. Yeah. Good morning to you guys. All right, good morning. Okay, so Drake. Breaking news: Drake is going broke. Apparently he's selling 50% of his stake with OVO, a company that handles a whole bunch of clothing line. But before we get, for everybody in the back that hasn't yet subscribed to the Jtomreactions community, you guys know what to do. I ain't got to tell you. Just like, comment, subscribe, share with your family and friends. Also, go ahead and hit the hype button. The hype button is important to us smaller creators. It helps us get into the algorithm and get in front of the bigger creators, so that way we can grow our channels as well. Now, DeVille has this video for us. We're going to check this out. I appreciate everybody that has subscribed in the past. The OG, the new people. I didn't mean to flip you off, but the new people that subscribe. Whenever you guys do subscribe, go ahead and let me know. Be like, new sub, and I'll shout you guys out on the next video. Now, Vil, you already know what it is, man. I ain't gotta say shit, but I will anyways. Vil, Jtomreactions, you already know, man. Let's fucking go.
Yo, and the logo could possibly be in jeopardy after they took a loan out from this company by the name of ARI. So apparently Drake's company borrowed money. OVO had paid some of the money back just to get itself out of the debt that it owed this company, but the lender claims that OVO still owes millions of dollars and additional fees, interest, and costs. OVO disputes that. However, if OVO ultimately loses and still doesn't pay, the lender could seek to collect against OVO's assets. In a worst case scenario, that could put valuable assets, including the OVO label, trademarks, and the logo itself, the owl itself, at risk, but only after a court judgment and collection proceedings. Now, how did this all happen? So the lawsuit is between ARI, OVO Growth Capital.
Yo, man, shit's getting crazy out here. That's why you shouldn't be saying that you have a certain amount of money. That's why you shouldn't let your fans claim things that aren't true. Because supposedly you're worth $1 billion. If you're worth $1 billion, that means you have more than abundant of 1 billion. You have, like, if your net worth is that, you have that, and you're able to keep that up. That includes your assets, that include different things, and just, you know, people claiming that, and then to see this, that you're getting sued because you haven't paid, and then also you're selling your company for 50%. That's crazy.
Capital LLC and October's very own ULC. This is a notice of a civil claim. It says here, ARI OVO Growth Capital LLC brings this claim to recover amounts owing by October very own's ULC under the convertible note purchase agreement and 5 convertible promissory notes issued by OVO to ARI. Between July 14th and August 5th, 2025, OVO issued 5 convertible promissory notes to ARI in the aggregate principal amounts of $5 million. The notes were 5-year convertible debt, instruments containing, among other things, conversion rights, information rights, repayment restrictions, default remedies, and a contractual make-whole fee designed to provide ARI with minimum negotiated return and to protect ARI against the loss of benefit of its bargain if the notes were repaid or otherwise terminated before maturity.
Damn.
OVO subsequently defaulted under the notes by failing to make required payments when due and by breaching other obligations under the governing financing documents. On or about February 27, 2026, ARI delivered a notice of default to OVO identifying multiple events or default and reserving all rights and remedies available under the financing documents and at law. On about March 20th, 2026, ARI and OVO entered into forbearance agreement pursuant to which OVO expressly acknowledged existing defaults and further acknowledged that the indebtedness and other amounts owing under the financing documents were valid, binding, and unconditionally owing without set-off, defense, counterclaim, deduction, or reduction. Thereafter, OVO made a partial payment while disputing its obligation to pay make-whole fee, a certain other contractual amount. OVO's payment did not satisfy all amounts owing under the notes because substantial amounts remained due and payable, including the make-whole fee, default interest, enforcement costs, and contractual amounts. As of June 11, 2026, after application of payments previously received, ARI claims remaining unpaid obligations of at least $4,600,000, including amounts owing in respect of the make-whole fee, together with the default rate.
Yo, that's a lot of fucking money. Why get such a big loan and then not pay it? Claim that you have certain amount of money and then not make payments towards the loan that you got unless you can't. If you can't, I mean, $5 million is a lot. That is a lot. I don't care if you have the money. $5 million is a lot. And you obviously got this loan because you couldn't get those 5 convertibles. You wouldn't get a loan out if you can't pay it, right? So that's another thing. Like, damn, bro, this is crazy.
Additional legal fees and expenses, enforcement costs, ARI's contractual fees, and charges and other amounts that continue to accrue. Essentially, OVO took a loan out from ARI, and ARI is claiming that even though Drake made a partial payment, he
the zooming in, good effect, bro. It adds an aesthetic to it. Hold on, let's go back.
And other amounts that continue to accrue. Essentially, OVO took a loan out from ARI, and ARI is claiming that even though Drake made a partial payment, he still owes them money. Just because he took out the loan and decides to pay it early doesn't mean that he still doesn't owe them money from the agreement that they made. ARI is a limited liability company incorporated under the laws of Delaware, USA. So this lawsuit is in British Columbia, but they have ties to the US. So this means that this is US dollars. OVO.
So as a mechanic, I've worked with companies that use the ARI. I don't know if this is the same ARI that that basically I've dealt with. So as a mechanic, ARI will contract mechanics to work on truck that they have contracts with companies that they have contracts. Again, I don't know if this is the same ARI, but if it is, I could see why they would go after Drake, because the company, okay, so like for example, maintenance, in the maintenance side of ARI, you're paying ARI as a third party to basically set up these appointments with a mechanic so they could come out, check out the vehicle, and do all that stuff. And if you don't make a payment, you basically don't you're not able to contact me, the mechanic, to come out and do that, because ARI is the person that handle the maintenance. Like, they're the ones that handle the maintenance bill, right? So essentially, you make a payment, and then you make a payment to them, they make a payment to me. It's kind of like insurance slash it's weird. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know their side of things, but it's crazy. If this is the same ARI, which I don't know if it is the same ARI, they're very strict with their, but let's continue.
Is an unlimited liability company incorporated under the laws of British Columbia.
And it would make sense. I don't know if these are loans for 5 convertibles. I don't know if that's what they meant, like 5 cars. Like, what is it exactly that Drake took out a loan for? Is it for the Iceman truck?
Which carries on business in British Columbia and other provinces. Says Drake is OVO's majority owner, co-founder, and central cultural figure. OVO generated approximately $72 million in revenue in 2024 and nearly $400 million from 2019 to 2024. While earning those revenues, OVO suffered net loss, specifically negative EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, of approximately $8 million in 2024 and approximately $12 million in the aggregate during the 3-year period from 2022 through 2024. OVO sought external financing, including debt and equity capital, in connection with its business operations and growth initiatives. At the time, an affiliated entity, October's very own merchandising, was subjected to an existing credit facility with Royal Bank of Canada, RBC. In connection with RBC credit facility, Aubrey Drake Graham, Oliver El Khatib, and Noah Shabib, also known as 40, who were also OVO's principals in connection with the ARI financing relationship, personally guaranteed certain OVO merchandising obligations to RBC.
Hmm.
On or about February 24, 2025, Aubrey Drake Graham, Oliver L. Khatib, and Noah Shabib entered into a side letter in connection with the RBC credit facilities in which they personally guarantee a portion of the debt. One release condition of the guarantee obligation was evidence satisfactory to RBC that there had been an equity investment of no less than $30 million in OVO merchandising, and that certain facilities totaling approximately $10 million at the time had been repaid in full. The side letter provided that OVO merchandising could use proceeds from $30 million equity injection to satisfy those identified facilities. Shortly after the side letter was executed in or around March 2025, OVO contacted ARI regarding both near-term bridge capital and contemplated $30 million equity-linked financing. OVO's investor materials stated that the majority of the proceeds from the contemplated $30 million financing would be used for growth marketing, for which OVO had not historically spent material amounts. In connection with the finance process, OVO and ARI were introduced through a mutual connection and thereafter discussed potential financing transactions, including an initial senior secured loan transaction and subsequently the notes. The separate senior secured loan transaction. Before OVO issued the notes to ARI on or about May 16, 2025, ARI Senior Secured Growth Credit Fund LP, through ARI agent, entered into senior secured loan transaction with October very own IP Holdings, an affiliate of OVO. The senior secured loan was secured by OVO intellectual property collateral, including rights relating to the names of October's very own and the OVO's OWL logo. The senior
So what? So okay. So this is for. So this right here is for buildings. So it's practically the same thing. ARI is like they handle maintenance, and you pay ARI to handle the maintenance, and they're basically like a third party. They rent out a facility, or you're renting out their services, basic. And if you don't pay, they're gonna come after you, which is oh shit.
secured loan transaction provided for $10 million facility, of which an initial tranche of $2.5 million was advanced. The senior secured loan transaction was separate from the notes and involved different parties, different financing documents, different economic terms, different collateral, and different repayment obligations. Following the closing of the first tranche of the senior secured loan, OVO sought an additional external capital from ARI and its affiliates through the notes as part of OVO's contemplated $30 million equity-linked financing. The collateral included OVO intellectual property, specifically rights associated with October's very own, and the OWL logo. Drake's company, OVO, used the OVO brand and OWL logo as collateral for a separate secured loan. If OVO were unable to repay that secured loan, those assets could potentially.
Damn, why would you do that? Why would you sell your brand? You're using your brand as collateral. You didn't have anything else? Like you didn't have. Damn, bro. You must be down bad, bro.
Be seized or sold by the lender. However, the current lawsuit over the convertible notes involves a different financing arrangement and does not automatically mean that OVO brand is being taken. However, it is up for grabs, though, at this point, because Drake and his team decided to put it up. On March 31st, 2026, OVO Holdings repaid a senior secured loan. The repayment of the senior secured loan satisfied obligations arising under that facility only. The repayment of the senior secured loan did not satisfy, reduce, waive, compromise, or otherwise affect OVO's obligation under the notes, the forbearance agreement, or any other agreement. Pursuant to the purchase agreement, OVO issued and sold to ARI, and ARI purchased 5 convertible promissory notes having an egregious principal amount of $5,234,121.93 as follows. Convertible promissory note number 1, dated July 14th, in the original principal amount of $500,000, another one for $300,000, another one for $1.5 million, $2.3 million, and $500,000. Pursuant to the purchase agreement and the notes, ARI advanced funds to OVO, and OVO agreed to abide by the terms of the convertible debt agreement. The convertible debt agreement provides that ARI has certain conversion rights as defined and described in more detail below. The convertible debt agreement provides OVO must pay interest on the outstanding principal at 10% per annum, the applicable rate, payable quarterly in advance on the first business day of each other. Any overdue amount bears an additional interest at 2%. The maturity date for repayment of the notes is June 30th, 2030. God damn. Upon the occurrence of
God
an event
damn.
of default, ARI is entitled to accelerate the indebtedness and demand immediate payment of all amounts owing. If the notes are repaid or become due prior to maturity date, including upon acceleration following an event of default, OVO is required to pay the make-whole fee, being an additional amount determined in accordance with the notes to provide ARI with the minimum contractual return agreed to by the parties. OVO may not prepay the notes prior to the maturity date without ARI's consent, and any permitted repayment must include all amounts owing under the notes, including the make-whole fee. And the parties adjourn to the exclusive jurisdiction of the courts of British Columbia in respect of any action or proceeding arising thereunder. They put that boy under the same UMG deal that he got from Lucian Grange, bro.
That boy's in a 1080 deal. God damn. God damn. Why do you do this to yourself, Drake? Why put yourself in these situations? Damn, bro.
That's the best way that I could explain that shit. Even if he tries to pay this loan back early, it's not going to matter. They got his ass until 2030, and whatever shit he has to pay, he has to pay it up. If not, his label and the owl is at risk. This shit is crazy, bro. The notes were structured as a 5-year convertible debt instrument that provides ARI with valuable contractual rights to become equity holders in OVO. In specified circumstances, including certain financing transactions and change of control transactions, ARI was entitled to convert amounts owing under the notes into equity securities of OVO rather than receive payment in cash. The conversion rights were subject to pricing protections negotiated by the parties, including a 20% conversion discount and a valuation cap of $200 million. The conversion discount and valuation cap provided ARI with the opportunity in specified circumstances to acquire equity in OVO at a price below that available to other investors and form part of the consideration negotiated by the parties for ARI's investment in the notes. The conversion rights, the conversion discount, the valuation cap, and the make-whole fee form part of a single integrated economic bargain negotiated between the parties. OVO defaulted under the convertible debt agreements by, among other things, failing to make required quarterly interest payments when due. Interest payments that were due beginning in July and August of 2025 were not paid when due and remain unpaid beyond the applicable 3 business day grace period provided under the notes. Such amounts were not remitted until January 2, 2026. Interest for the first quarter of 2026, which was due on January 2nd, 2026, was likewise not paid when due and remained unpaid beyond the applicable 3-day grace period and was not remitted until February 19, 2026. Each failure to pay interest within that prescribed time and applicable grace period constituted an event and default under Section 6. Subsequent payment of certain of those amounts did not cure the consequence of the events of default or waive ARI sites arising therefrom, including its entitlement to interest at the default rate. In addition, certain payments made by OVO were not made in accordance with the payment provisions of the notes, including payments that were remitted to an account held by entity other than ARI. Any such payments did not comply with the notes and did not operate as a waiver or modification of the payment terms. Now, OVO and ARI enter a forbearance agreement. Basically, OVO owes them money now, and they're giving them time so they could pay it back. OVO never pays it back. Shocker, I know. It says OVO failed to pay the outstanding debt during the term of the forbearance agreement or otherwise comply with the terms of that agreement. As a result, the forbearance period terminated in accordance with its terms, and ARI became entitled to exercise all rights and remedies under the convertible debt agreement and the forbearance agreement. ARI delivered a repayment statement to OVO setting out for the amounts ARI.
Dog, this is a lesson to everybody. Okay, this is a lesson to everybody, not just the OVO fan, not just for everybody. You get a loan, you must pay it. You must pay it. This is crazy. Don't get a loan if you can't pay it. You're only gonna get subpoenaed to go to court if you default on the loan. God damn, bro.
Calculated as owing under the convertible debt agreement at forbearance.
But what's crazy and why this is a big deal is because Drake is the type of person to slang his money around, make himself look a certain way, and then this happens. Or it turns out to be fake, or it turns out to be wrong, or he lets other people control his narrative, and it's just making him look bad right now. This right here is making him look bad, and this is why it's a big
agreement, including principal, the make whole fee, accrued interest, default interest, legal fees, enforcement costs, etc., etc. Contractual amounts. ARI advised OVO that payment in full required payment of all such amounts, not merely repayment of principal. OVO makes a partial payment that does not satisfy the outstanding debt. On May 27th, ARI received a wire payment of $3.8 million from ADG Sound Management account. The wire details identified the payment reference as OVO notes. ARI received and retained those funds solely as a partial payment on the account and under a full reservation of rights, and did not accept them as full payment or satisfaction of all amounts owing under the convertible debts agreement. 3.8 million. God damn. And that's a partial payment. It's crazy to think that Drake owes this much money when he's always bagging on people for not having money. Recently, Rick
Exactly.
Ross has been in the light. People have been trashing him using Drake lyrics, saying that he don't got no bread. Whole time, Drake is the one with no bread. How are you going to mock people for not having money when you're the one that owes other people money? After defaulting under the
Oh man. Not only that, but he mocks people for using bots. He uses bots. He mocks people for not having money. You don't have money. He mocks people for different things, and it turns out that he is also going through the same exact thing. So what is it? Why mock other people if you're going through the same thing? Karma's gonna come back and do this. That's what it is.
convertible debt agreement, OVO has attempted to avoid its full contractual payment obligation despite demand. OVO continues to refuse to pay full amounts owing under the convertible debt agreements. As of June 11, 2026, the total amount remaining due and owing pursuant to convertible debt agreement, including without limitation the outstanding make-whole fee, default interest, legal fees, professional fees, enforcement costs, lender expenses, and other recoverable amounts, is 4.6 million. The amount owing to ARI continued to accrue. So I think that's 4.6 million and counting. God damn.
Yeah, because of all of the what is that the interest is continuing to accrue. My attempt to be a fucking accountant. Oh shit. Nah, but interests are continuing to accrue. And if you just leave that there, the payment is only going to keep gaining traction and is going to continue to rise and grow. And you're just going to keep owing them money. So if you don't pay the whole amount on top of the make whole fee, like you have to call them and be like, hey, how much do I owe you? This is how much I fucking owe you. And then like try to like, how much do I owe you to finish paying this off? And then you pay it. You don't just send the amount that they gave you and then, nah, man, that's not how it works. If you get out a loan, you have to read the paper because for all you know, you could be getting yourself into a bad debt. You could be getting yourself into something that you can't pay. And I'm guessing, I don't know why Drake would get himself into this shit, but he owes $4,609 and $4,609,455.
That is insane, man. The fact that this guy had already paid almost like 4 million and then he has to owe another 4.6, he owed them like $10 million, bro. He only paid half of it, and they went and said half. I don't want half. I want the whole effing thing. And if I don't get it, that owl is mine. This man really signed this bogus ass deal.
That's what I'm saying. It's like Drake doesn't read the fine print. He doesn't read if you don't pay this, we're taking your owl. We're taking the owl. We're taking your company. If you don't read the fine print, this shit is gonna happen. Always read the fine print, the small little print on the side. Always.
This bogus ass loan. You have to be so desperate to sign something like this, or you have to be so naive to think that you were just walking away with this type of money and nothing bad could happen if he didn't pay it back. Now the conversation is, why didn't he just pay the full amount? If he has the money to pay it, why not just pay the whole thing? Why just pay half of it? If you know that your company is at risk because you put it up for a loan, you might as well just pay that whole thing. It's the fact that he's asking for a loan in the first place is what seems suspicious. People want to clown people for not riding in a private jet. People want to clown people for riding a commercial on a plane. And it's those same people that are putting their label up for collateral. This revealed a whole can of worms. If Drake doesn't pay this money back, there's a chance that he could lose his label. And it seems like he might not be as rich as people think. But Drake's finances are starting to look like they're in the danger zone. Y'all let me know what you think, because at this point, either he's desperate for money because he ain't got none, or two, his team is so idiotic and his friends don't know what they're doing. But at that point, it's really up for debate. Y'all could tell me, What do you think about this in the comment section and let me know. Y'all make sure y'all like the video, hype the video, subscribe to the channel. To donate to the channel, make sure you hit the cash up at the top.
Hey, W video. W video. All right. Now my final thoughts. What do I think of this whole situation? I think that if you're gonna get a loan, I'm not talking to you, Drake, right now. I'm talking to everybody who's watching this video. If you are getting a loan, you got to pay that. You got to make sure that you can afford it before you sign off. Number two, don't sign on a loan that gets you your company as collateral, especially if you can't pay it, because they're going to take that shit, and then if you try to buy it back, they're gonna sell it at a higher price and you are gonna be fucked. um don't do what Drake is doing. He is a perfect example of what not. He's a perfect example of, I shouldn't get this loan. I shouldn't get these warehouses. I shouldn't get these convertibles. I shouldn't get Maybachs and give people chains and do all this shit. It's not what you need to be doing. What you need to be doing is investing in yourself, invest in your company, invest in other ways, and not put your company up for collateral. You should just be, trying to get yourself out of debt and not into debt. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your family and friends. Also, go ahead and hit that hype button for me. All right. And also, don't forget to hit that noti bell on your way out. This has been your boy Jtomreactions, bitch. You guys already. Okay, let's fucking go. Drake, don't continue to do this shit. You're only going to keep getting yourself into more debt. And this is me talking to you as a person that is 4 years younger than, and I am trying to get myself, but welcome to the club of people that, it's just one of those things. You should be trying to get yourself out of it and not get yourself more into, and from the looks of it, that's what that is. But yeah, this has been your boy Jtomreactions, bitch. Ya tu sabes. You guys already know. Let's fucking go.